Hello, welcome back to the JRB podcast with myself, Ryan Levine, joined here by Jeff Jones and Bohdan Temnick.
Hello.
Hey.
It has been a while since our last one, a little over a month. We've had a couple scheduling things. Last week, I was sick and lost my voice. This week, Jeff was a little sick. So we finally have all, lined up our schedules, and here we are.
Lives a million miles away in a
Yeah,
different
of
time
course.
zone.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's something. A couple things before we start. I have a couple like Yu-Gi-Oh announcements. I've had a couple videos about Universus on this channel in the past. I started another podcast with some other people that is not going to go on this channel, but will go on another channel. I'll have that link in the description. If you have played that game and you enjoyed both games, very similar vibe to what this is, but for that game. So I'll have that in the description. And then also, I have a box opening video of the new Attack on Titan set that will go up this week. So I've had them for the previous sets. I'll have one for this one. I was recently invited to a content creator event for Universus, so I don't know exactly what that will entail, but at the next major event, there will be a behind closed doors content creator presentation that I've been invited to. So I don't know how much of that I'm going to be able to talk about or not or whatever, but I do enjoy the game a lot. I enjoy making content for it. I've just kind of decided that for like long form content like that, this channel is not the best place for it, but I will continue to be uploading. Like, I have some deck profiles from that game as well, already on the channel. So it is a very fun game that I enjoy a lot. And, any support for those videos is appreciated. But if if it does not interest you, I understand. So you can just safely ignore them if you're just here for Yu-Gi-Oh. So, let's continue, I suppose. Last time we were here, it was right before YCS. Where were we? What city was it in? YCS. Where was the last YCS?
What, Houston?
Houston, yes. Houston. Yeah, right before YCS, Houston, yes.
That was not going to say next city or which one.
No, yeah. Right before YCS Houston. Since YCS Houston, there has been a limited list that we have not talked about at all. We are not going to spend time on it, really. They banned Beast Dweller and Bahamut Shark, like I believe we said we wanted to happen in our previous episode where we talked about what we wanted to see on the list. Rizzo got some hits, Malice got some hits, and the Fiendsmith cards did not get hit, which is kind of which is like maybe the most like relevant point. And then Malice and Rizzo got more support in Alliance Insight. So the very small window of those decks being lower in power, I think, has already closed. Like, those decks are probably stronger now. Malice almost certainly is stronger now than it was.
Better now than it ever was.
Yes, yes. Like, it is literally, yes. Like, even post bans, the new, or post limits, I guess, or semi-limits or whatever it ended up. They semi-limited 3 cards, right? It was a semi-limit of 3 different cards.
Yeah, each.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and they banned the Link one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the support is better.
Other things like Dimensional Shifter and Bestial stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, basically, yeah.
Would you like to just start with? So you are of the. I mean, I don't think it's much of a hot take that you think Malice is stronger now than it has ever been. Would you like to elaborate on that briefly? I guess like your thoughts on it, because I imagine you've continued to be playing Malice, and I imagine you're probably just going to play Malice at the YCS Providence this week, and hopefully we'll have a top cut deck profile when you top that event, next week.
I mean, we will see. I mean, the unfortunate thing is, as much as I love Malice, the mirror matches are much more volatile now because of how well all the new cards let you play through hand traps. And I think Malice already could play through hand traps pretty well before. But now it's like an entirely different level where your deck has to be completely changed to like accommodate for like going second against the Malice deck. And even then, sometimes it's still not enough. Which is like really unfortunate because Malice already got a lot of hate as like a deck that goes first and you just can't do anything against. And this kind of just like exacerbates that. Mainly because like I think if they just got the March Hare, the deck would have just been like really, really, really good. But other decks would be more in line with it. But the fact that the Ad Ignister cards are just also Malice cards is like pretty unfortunate. I don't understand why Backup Secretary searches specifically for a dark Cyberse. I feel like it should have been the opposite, where it searches a non-dark Cyberse because all of the little Ad Ignister dudes are basically all different attributes. And I think that would have been much more fair.
Oh,
but the
they
fact
knew what they were doing.
Well, I think it's
Don't worry.
because the actual backup secretary might be dark. I've played that card at an event before. I should know what that card is.
Yes,
Yeah,
we all played
both
construction deck.
are dark.
Something.
Um,
No, Ryan actually played backup secretary. I remember now.
I played operator
Oh,
and
well.
secretary, whatever they were, in my terrible Salamangreat
You really
deck.
did.
The
You
day
played transcode before everyone else played transcode. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, because I guess they in their mind, well, this search is backup secretary, so you get a Cyberse extender. Because backup secretary, like it's like a hat tricker into a zone of link monster points to, and we're like 7 years removed from that being what you would search off of this card.
I mean, you do realize that backup Ignister is just backup secretary, right? It's her on the card.
No, but I still call it backup secretary out of just like.
I actually call it backup secretary too.
Yeah, and people look at me weird, and I'm like, you don't know that this used to be like another card, like.
That's what I mean. Is it supposed to search the original one? And I say supposed to in the loosest term possible. But that's why I guess it searches
it's the
dark.
same set that they search with the like printed wizard. It has to search the old generic.
Or even just search like an Ad Ignister monster only. Like if you could only search wizard, which is mostly what you do sometimes, but sometimes like you just search a name and then you discard it, and then you're able to start playing that way.
Yeah. It is very generic cyber support, right? Like much more so generic. And like I think
she doesn't lock you into anything. She doesn't lock you into Link. She doesn't lock you into Cyberse monsters. She's just she's everything. She's the moment, as the gays like to say.
I think the reason a lot of these like Cyberse piles have been disliked in the past, and when I say so many of them, I mean like people did not like Math Mech and like how Math Mech Circular was unbanned or whatever. Yeah. Like I didn't really either. It's because so much of the Cyberse cards are just like summon a Cyberse, like search a Cyberse, like do something Cyberse. You can only summon Cyberse, and it's like that's not really. It's like how when the Orcust restrictions are like you can only summon dark monsters. It's like I was only doing that anyway. That's all I was gonna do.
Oh no, not dark monsters.
Yeah, not like oh no, not 38 Cyberse monsters. Whatever will I do? Like, oh no, now my kill condition is access code talker. Like however will I win the game? Like stuff like that. Where like a lot of the best cards were just already Cyberse at the time and now kind of anyway. So it is weird to have these like pseudo restrictions that barely, if not at all, stop you. And then meanwhile we have other cards that have like the craziest restrictions ever that are just less powerful anyway. But yeah, I can see why it's like not the greatest. But
I think it's also just telling how seamless all of the cards interact with each other. Like your entire combo bridge has 50 different checkpoints for a hand trap, and then there's just like one point where nothing matters. Like they can just have 3 hand traps.
Yeah. It's like if I get to this point and my opponent hasn't done something yet, I just know, okay, well the game is over.
Pretty much. But like so seamless. Cyberse Wicked is now just searching you an extender, which is 3 extra monsters, and enables Red Ransom or like any other Malice name.
Yeah, basically, if
you don't need Lizard, you don't need SP. A good chunk of the time, you just
worried about anything for the rest of the turn, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts about Malice. I mean, I don't know. It's really good, and I like Malice.
Yeah, like it is weird, like the number of times I feel like something similar to this has happened, where a deck will get hit, and then there is like 3 weeks where it's not the undisputed best deck, and then just the new set comes out and all the decks got hit, got more support, and you're like, well, I guess you did have to hit them, because if you didn't, they'd just be absolutely ludicrous bonkers nonsense, but they're still like pretty insane. And I think
Yeah.
for like those 3 weeks, Ryziel got off easier in that they still got like 2x to ice to sword, I think, or something like that. But and like one bonfire kind of hurt and one detonator. And now it's like getting Star Ryziel, I do not think
It's
is
not the
equivalent.
same.
Yeah, getting the one Star Ryziel
It's
is not the same as what they lost. And Malice got like 38. Like it's literally the meme with the executive like drinking all the oil and like and you know like the one little like drip of
yeah,
oil. It's
the
like
the drop
Malice.
to Ryziel,
Yeah,
yeah.
the one droplet of
I
Star Ryziel and all the
I
cyber
think
support.
I think it's interesting, like, to look at the cards that they got and just the problems that they fixed. Like I was testing and I was like, I'll just, like by default have cards like Droll, whatever in my deck. And the first time my opponent went like Tachyon for a card first action and I drolled them and they went summon eyes, special like star, set cross, make detonator with cross and just had like 3 non-engine. I felt kind of violated because most of the time, like, it would just be detonator. Now it's like detonator field spell. Like, so that's beating, Droll and maybe like another hand trap. And then all of these like backup cards are beating Lancer and like 15 other hand traps. And that's when you have this like big rotation of how do I build my deck? You still have to respect decks like Mermail that is still in the format. Like Fiendsmith decks are still viable. You see people playing Unchained and other combo decks. They might not be good, but they can just as easily go first. And if you don't draw non-engine and you draw all engine, it can be kind of difficult when your deck is normal summon reliant or it's like very low to the ground like Ryziel. It doesn't feel fun testing, like going into the unknown for Providence. So I don't envy you guys, but I hope maybe something better comes out of it. We know what the best deck is, but holy shit, I don't know how to account for a 10-round or 12-round tournament when it feels like I can lose to everything at the drop of a hat.
I mean, that's a good point about the new cards. Just from like a problem solving perspective is how we would, I'll say very loosely in air quotes, play around Droll in the Ryzo decks. It's like, oh, you search ice first, so if they Droll you on bonfire or whatever, you summon ice, and it's like, okay, but like, what does that do? That means that you
Well,
get
what if they fool me?
well,
Then now what? Oh no, I'm in
yeah.
ruins.
Well,
Like,
yeah, but it's like
yeah.
it's just like okay, so we got drolled, which means now ice does what? Now ice makes a detonator with 2 materials instead of searching 7 cards and like making a
Yeah.
thing. Now it's like instead of just ending on a 2 material detonator and nothing and no follow up, you get cross, which is like the difference between having cross and not a cross is like the like just the most it's just like so many effects like rolled into one that having just a bonus cross on your field compared to not having it is just such a huge difference that yeah, Droll gets a lot weaker if you actually play it, if you actively play around it. But is that enough to really
It's
now it's your one
yeah.
detonator, like what are you doing?
It's
But
just all of these mini game. They love to the kids love
yeah.
to say mini games now, but I think it does hold true. And I think you also have this issue of when a deck like Malice is as powerful as it is, and conventional hand traps don't tend to work. It's really really good. And like people used to never like doing this before, but who like we're in the modern age now, is to just make the game as unfair as possible. So you look at hand traps that are unfair, and the hand traps that I think are the most unfair now have this big disparity, which is good. I think that's how design should be. Is the Charmies, right? Like they will not be functional going first, but going second, like they do something that no other card can do in the game, which is fine. But the problem comes down to like when everyone's deck has like however many Charmies in them, and you go first and draw one
I
Charmy, your
like how
hand
you
is now
didn't say
4
a
cards.
specific amount.
Yeah. But like you'll have an amount. I don't know. I've seen numbers ranging from 0 to 9, and I don't know how to feel about that. But yeah, like
Yeah.
you'll have Charmies in hand. Your hand is now 4 cards. You'll try to play. Your opponent will Charmy you, um, and that like I guess we've closed the bridge between second and first once again. But those sort of games feel bad out of virtue of like I'm picking first. I'm drawing a card that is in my deck. Oh no, I drew Yu-Gi-Oh card that doesn't do anything going first, and my opponent drew a card that does something going second. And that's where I think it'll be kind of unique compared to something like OCG format where they have Maxi, which sort of ignores that. And I think you sort of see more decks like Ryziel, um, in a format like this, maybe where they're able to go like detonate across, low to the ground, have Max C in hand, Max C you. Instead of like now they'll do that and like their other 3 cards in hand are like Fua, Perilia, you know, some redundant hand trap or like engine piece. Gets really weird in the deck building process, I've found. And the Japanese might have it a lot easier. I think I maybe brought it up before. My Japanese friend came for YCS Sydney and he's like, how do you beat Malice? It's so difficult in OCG. And I played against him once and he's like, oh, never mind, Appa is banned. And like just a bunch of other, like his thought process was just like, oh, never mind, you don't have Appa. This is easy. It's like, oh, no, Maxi, so fun. I was like, yeah, like, I guess so. Like, I don't know.
See, I look at OCG lists and their format, and I wonder how they play less than like 18 hand traps sometimes.
I think it really is as simple as Max C though. Like I don't want to always roll back to Max C, but if I feel like Max C solves a lot of the problems that like I have, and I think maybe you've had just trying to narrow down non-engine pieces, which is dumb to say because Max C is at 2 in Japan, and that just sounds stupid.
Like, yeah, but sometimes they won't even like use like a Fua. But lately, sometimes you see like 3 Fua, 2 Maxi,
Yeah,
and then you'll see like 3 Ash Blossom and like maybe Imperm. But Imperm is also getting kind of moved away for in Japan. But I just think, man,
it doesn't help that
Iron
their
Stone's
format
gonna
is
some of
so
these decks go
different.
second. But now I guess they're also leaning into. I mean, this is going to go off on an entirely different direction now because it's talking about
That's
OCG.
fine.
But
Yeah.
now they're making all of these, like going second monster hand traps, like Havanus and stuff like that. Like maybe that's why it's like a little bit different now.
That sounds like a perfect segue into
Vanquish
the
Soul.
Vanquish Soul, which is yeah. So I have made it no secret that I love the Vanquish Soul cards, and
we haven't even talked about Mitsurugi Alliance Insight yet, and you're already on a set that doesn't come out for another month and a half.
Fine. Let's talk about Mitsurugi first. Fine. Mitsurugi cards.
I think that's Mitsurugi. Feels like another deck, sort of like Mermail, where if that deck goes first and I don't draw non-engine, I am probably just stone dead. I think the boards are still resilient and it's like a lot more consistent now. Yeah, I mean that's all. Like they got a broken ritual that just turns into everything. Like what more? I don't know what more they could have gotten.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
be
printing a
honest.
card that says technically reveal from hand, add or special anything from deck is just kind of crazy.
Yeah, like just opens up so much. And you've seen so there were a couple like online tournaments. It was like I think DB Grinder had one and Kong's Cards had one. And there was a pure Mitsu deck in the DB Grinder tournament that won or came second, I think. And that was just like quite literally, you know, 3 copies of all the good ones, like 1 copy of the bricks and like pot of extrav and stuff like that. Just like this is where we're at now. You're playing like Ame control, like very basic, and that's just like all you need, I suppose, before getting into like all of the fancy stuff like Fiendsmith or Ryziel stuff. Like you can just play this bare bones ritual deck because of how strong the cards are, how well they line up into like a good chunk of non-engine that isn't super oppressive. I guess like Droll, right? Like Droll doesn't do anything now into like it'll do half a thing into Ryziel and then maybe do like 1/10 of a thing into Malice, but you know, oh, it's gonna be
Sometimes
great into Mitsu.
God, it feels like it does so little against Malice. I don't know how much that's changed, like really with the new stuff. Like I feel like they have a
it
little
does more now.
Yeah, but like oh my God, before Droll did really feel like 1/10 of a card against Malice.
Yeah,
pretty much. Well, like now Imperm and stuff feel like 1/10 of a card against Malice. Before I think it was like a quarter of a card.
Imperm was like still 1/10 of a card back before. Like
now it feels way worse. Now it's just like
some amount of Bistills and Imperm like basically didn't matter most of the time.
Yeah. But now it feels way worse. I don't know what happened. Now it just feels like nothing matters.
Yeah, the Mitsurugi cards
was Mitsurugi.
yeah, I mean that was the problem they had, right? Was they didn't have and like the reason you couldn't play Mitsurugi as like an independent or well you couldn't play them as like a pure deck was they had no 1 card plays, which I think is pretty important in Yu-Gi-Oh now, like it's really tough to play a deck when none of the cards function independently to do anything. And
Yeah.
I don't think any of the Mitsurugi cards previously functioned independently. Like they always needed to do something. They always needed something else. There could be a lot of different combinations, but they always needed something else. Now
Yeah, it
they
was
at
always
least have
like,
something, which you can search
yeah.
a bunch of different ways. So you have a bunch of different ways to get to your cards that can play that can start you up independently, and then any other engine piece you draw on top of it just adds a little extra, which is and helps you play through stuff, which is important, right? Like because the reason those decks that required multiple cards to start playing felt so weak now is when you're throwing multiple cards into a hand trap is when it feels terrible. When you're playing a card and then they hand like if you summon a monster and they Veiler it or they Ash it, and you play another card and then they hand trap it, and you're at least trading evenly, it feels okay. When you're like throwing 2 to 3 cards into one hand trap, it feels so bad because it usually means that's all you have, and then you pass, and then they make a board, and now there's no combination of cards you can have that can let you keep playing. So I get like I don't know how many of the new Mitsurugi card like how many new cards did they get? Was it 5?
No, it's
Seven,
always
it
seven.
was
It's like
7?
7 in the first
Yeah.
and 7 in the second.
Okay.
And three of them, one the new at least 2 are very good. One
Yeah.
of them is good for if you're playing pure,
Yeah.
and the rest are kind of like whatever. I wouldn't play them, but um yeah, like the new ritual spell is good if you play the pure deck because it unlocks your
You can
ability to
pre-prep.
play pre-prep, yeah.
Yeah.
The quick play spell is kind of whatever. It's like a ritual on your opponent's turn or like a pop that's probably played in the pure deck. Um, Bohdan, you had that deck in front of you. Does that one play the quick play or no?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just play Habakiri, the new main deck, and then the pre-prep target.
But yeah, that's all I probably would end up playing. Yeah, the other 4 are like not really very good, especially the trap cards. They feel like just meme
They're
cards.
funny. Ryan's combo, etc. Or whatever just happened.
What?
The Banquet of Millions thing.
Oh
Yeah, the bank. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was okay.
I knew what
So
you were talking about.
yeah, okay. I forgot. I did say that. Yeah. So the new.
Bro, you brought that up, and I looked,
I
and I'm
know.
just like, cool.
Yeah. So
I'm
it's
gonna build rollback.
it was the new trap. It's like your opponent they banish 8 from their hand, extra deck, or graveyard or field. Is that what it
Total of like
does?
8 cards from a
8
combination of like their
cards.
extra
Yeah.
deck, field, and graveyard, something like
Yeah.
that.
So if you there's a card, yeah, so I think I read that card and for some reason my mind immediately went to, hey, you can set up this, which requires all 3 of the rituals. So like that's not that hard to do, but it's not free. And then you need the trap card. And then there's this trap from like a couple years ago called the Banquet of Millions. And the artwork is Eater Millions. And the effect is like you banish cards from your extra deck, and then your opponent banishes the same number from their extra deck until the end phase.
The end of the next turn.
So if you banish 13 cards from your extra deck and they have to banish 13, then you play the Mitsurugi trap and it banishes their last 2 cards from their extra deck and all 6 cards in their hand. And I was like, how do we do this? Like, how do we set this up? So probably not viable, but extremely funny. And I was like, the Twitter engagement could be crazy here. But anyways,
It's funny because I also had that card activated against me recently. Like,
like just on purpose, or like
what? Yeah, a Labyrinth deck used it against me to turn skip my Malice deck.
Interesting. That's kind of funny because they make you banish like 12, and you're like, oh, okay, and then you just pass. Interesting.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I actually just cannot do anything.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah. Well, that's the only contribution I have to the Mitsurugi deck. Is Banquet of Millions.
I think we're gonna see more about the Mitsurugi this weekend. I think it's the only deck that can really hold its own. Is like a weird way to go about it, but like it'll just be Mitsurugi, probably Rizal and Malice.
Yeah.
I think Mitsurugi is gonna fit the spot that we saw a lot of the decks before the ban list, like Fire King I guess, is comparable, just
I
based on
mean,
how they're
Memento,
deck building the pure deck. Like,
like
you're not
Memento,
doing crazy combos. You're sort of just playing for like a very fair, reasonable end board that like gives you a good chunk of cards and like follow up. You're in like more interaction based than it, like putting up 50 negates, and just feels like low to the ground. But the card quality is a lot better, and it's not like as many moving parts as it was before.
Sure, I can see
Mm,
that. I mean, like I
sure.
can see this being like, yeah, it plays pretty efficiently off one card now, which is something that I think is like really important.
Mm.
And it's resilient, right? Like it has a lot of
Yeah.
recursion.
You have you have infinite follow up and stuff, which is why to me it feels more like Memento, because Memento had like these long
Sure.
combo streams that
Well,
ended with like different forms of
hmm.
pops and stuff like that, not really any negates, and then infinite follow up on the next turn, and that's what it
So
reminds me of more.
funny you mentioned that though. The Fire King deck, with like how it was played into like Rizal Malice format, actually just played the same way as Memento, where it just the turn one end board didn't do anything, but the amount of times you'd also just kill your opponent because they didn't know what your deck did, like just weird funny stuff. And maybe Mitsu has a couple skill checks like that. I haven't actually played it enough to truly know, but just the niche thing of like the Memento deck can just kill you in 3 sequences. The Fire King deck, if you summon guys in attack, just got opened up by crashing, creatures. Uh, I like same sort of concept. It just like damage reach. I guess going second is a big thing in a lot of these decks too, compared to like maybe some of the more fair decks that won't close the game out over 2 turns. Whereas like Fire King Memento in this deck actually has some pretty big hitters, and like the card quality is good.
Sure, I can understand that.
Compared to like I don't know, we went from summon Ecclesia, set trap cards, kill you in like 4 turns, hope that your cards aren't better than mine. The decks like this, I'm pretty glad about it, to be honest. This would have been like a tier 0 deck in 2020. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Uh,
All right, Ryan, I'm ready to hear about
Well,
your deck.
one more thing before we transition out of off Alliance Insight. The last thing I guess I kind of talk about from Alliance Insight is I guess we should probably mention the existence of Live Twins. That's a deck I've also talked about previously in the past. I
I forgot that
don't
deck existed.
think it's that good. I after playing with it a little more, I
Oh, did you play with it more? Because I
I
actually thought it was
did.
actually kind of good,
I
and
think it's
everyone around
fine. I think
You
it's
can't beat
fine.
the Charmies. You can't beat any of the
Yes,
you
that's a
Charmies,
cannot beat the
but you
huge
can
one.
beat
Charmies.
That's a
everything
huge
else.
one. So
Everything else is easy.
yeah, something I vaguely mentioned last time when I was like, oh, I've been playing it on Master Duel because it's kind of funny to like do live twin stuff and turn the pink one into Requiem. Haha. That's still true here. And now I don't think Shavar going to 2 didn't. I don't think you play 2 Shavar, or I wasn't playing 2
No.
Shavar when I was doing it, but the Unchained stuff gives you some extra legs as well, and you have a lot of different. You have a bit more agency around certain hand traps, mainly Nibiru. Like Nibiru is gonna always be probably the toughest one because you don't put up any negations at all. And it's like you don't
No,
have
you
that
do. You
much.
put up Jin. You can put up Jin
Oh
Buster.
yes, that's the only
Ryan,
one is you can put up Jin
I
Buster.
made the spread.
Yeah,
I made the spreadsheet.
I
Don't worry.
that was one that like that was one
Yeah.
that after playing for like an hour and a half, we eventually stumbled upon like this is probably good enough to be in our deck, and it eventually made the cut. But other than Jin Buster, which Jin Buster is pretty good though, but yeah, other than that,
Yeah.
if you don't have access to extra level 2s and you're just playing off of like you get hand trapped on the red one, you send the other one, you make a
If you ever get hand trapped on the red one, your opponent is gonna be upset.
Yes, that too.
This
So
deck is a lot of like your opponent doesn't read the cards / they just
yeah,
try and play the way that they did before. But now with the Link one, it's very very awkward for them to just like hand trap. Like if they normal summon Leela, then it's more acceptable to hand trap it. But it doesn't like make as much sense because the deck plays like 7 extenders as well. Sort of rolls back to the Malice issue with just how they're creating new cards to invalidate a lot of cards like Vela and Impalm, where like one of them doesn't end your turn as often, but pairing them maybe does something, still probably not.
and like all of both of the new support cards One of them, I think Deal's hand effect is like so absurdly irrelevant. Like the first time I read it, the first time I read it, I was like, oh, this is really cool. It punishes your opponent for hand trapping. And then after playing, I'm like, why would it only works when they hand trap a live twin, not an evil twin.
You also don't want to draw that card.
Yes, you also don't want to draw that card.
You want to send
it
with the link every
exactly.
time. Yeah.
And like after
Honestly,
playing,
I didn't know it was like only live twins.
It's only live twins.
Yeah, it's not that good. Yeah. So
no.
If you draw that card, you need to do some like tricks and turns to actually get it out of your hand on most occasions. Like you have to like bow, discard it, stuff like that. It's very, very funny.
Can't it summon from your hand? Can't the red one summon it from your hand? I'm pretty sure it can.
No, wait, the new one?
No, I'm saying assuming like if you summon Kiss a Kill, the red one, and they don't interact with it, you just summon Deal from your hand.
Wait, which card are we talking about?
I'm talking about the main deck guy. Oh, maybe I'm talking about the wrong. Oh, maybe Deal is the link. I'm talking about
yeah.
Sweet is what I mean.
Sweet.
Yeah. Sweet. Yes, that one.
If you control a Kiss a Kill monster and this card is in your grave, that's
yes.
Yes. This card's broken. Are you talking about the link or the
drawing
the
it sucks? I'm saying
Oh,
drawing it is terrible.
And like one of this Lila Sweet then, just a Foolish Burial.
Yes.
You just play one and hope you never draw it, yeah. But like the extended Kiss to Kill is like one card starter to Fiendsmith combo plus like if you have like a random extender, it sets up like any of the normal summons when they resolve uncontested, they give you everything. Through Nib as well, but your Nib navigation is sort of like the Malice navigation of like you really just do little things in between to offset what a Nibiru will do to you at any point. And a lot of the time your Nib check is like summoning Bow. They either nib you here or they don't, and you have a Bow that floats back after they nib you on like another bad point. And then you have like floating engrave and a bunch of other stuff. We have like a combo where it's like you make Blue Dog puppet with Shavara, add back an engraver that you dumped off a Lacrima, engraver effect, add tract, discard Lari, summon Lari, do something else. And like if you had to start with engraver, you can like Shavara, pop Blue Dog, add back Lari, make Bow, discard Lari for an extra body. Like you just do like a bunch of these things after to either invalidate Nib or just like if they nib you, it's just so off. Like everything is just if once you know when to nib someone, I think this format crumbles a lot of the time, and then you're just playing the game of if there's an extender in your opponent's hand. But even just in engine, it feels so disgusting.
Which this deck can make Caesar also, but it's really not like I think you're almost always better off making other things, or you're making Caesar so late. It's like it's not. Yeah. It's not something you're like if you're turning your Fiendsmith engine into Caesar, you literally nibbed yourself, like without them using nib. It's kind of how I feel about it. Because I feel like the stuff that you're doing is so much better without using your Fiendsmith cards for that.
The problem as well comes down to like if you try to use your Fiendsmith stuff. So you either have the crazy it's like a 3 to 4 card engine hand that has like an engraver, and it lets you do Caesar full combo under everything, and you don't lock your own Shavara. If you try and do it at the end of the like in the middle of the combo after you've I guess done a nib checkpoint, you have to waste your Shavara, so you don't get to the Unchained Trap, you don't get to set up Blue Dog, and you basically just like deny yourself Desiree as well. Like making the Caesar actually removes like 2 or 3 more layers of interaction, and sort of just consolidates them into just Caesar negates. If that makes any sense,
because like the extra what I just said. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My bad.
That is precisely what I said. Yeah. Yeah. I said if you make Caesar, your board is so much worse, and you're losing so much. You may as well have nibbed yourself. And you were like, well, actually, if you make Caesar, your board is worse. I'm like, yeah.
That's a big But that's the one that I think people sort of they're so used to, like, oh, I can just make Caesar at the start of my
Yeah,
combo,
it's just so
and then
bad
I do
compared to what
something
you can
else, like
do.
yeah, like summon Caesar, summon Snake Eye Ash isn't the same as like summon Caesar, summon. I guess it could actually be summon Caesar, summon Kiss a Kill, but not really, because you've actually gone through your entire Fiendsmith engine. So yeah, no, it doesn't work at all.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
But these are like, if you haven't played the deck at all, and I think you sit down and like play it, and you're just like, oh, like this dude, you can just summon Caesar, it's so good into Malice, and then like your deck is only summoning Caesar, right?
Yeah.
Like that's why like I'll look at a lot of these deck lists and just think they don't have any rhyme or reason for their combos. They're probably just like vibing gameplay. But then it just took, a week worth of testing, playing with this deck compared to Japan. Japan has Apo and Griffin legal, by the way. They can do some heinous stuff.
Yeah.
Most of their combos involve Griffin, just like Griffin, Bow, Trouble Sunny, and then sequence into Desiree floating with like the Unchained Trap and Blue Dog Engrave and everything else from like one card starter. But then just like trying to find the foundations without the Griffin combo, because it's the same deal. You have the option to like add back a Lari, discard a card, do some funky stuff there. Now you just have to figure out what to do to like not be a worse Malice deck. Is the main thing I've taken away from testing post Alliance Insight. What is my deck doing that is better than what Malice is doing? And my Live Twin deck is losing to Chami's worse than what my Malice deck is doing, and that was the key concern that I had.
That's fair.
Yeah, like no net benefit, right? That's like every other downside, you will lose 2 Bestials now to play a worse Malice deck. It's very unfortunate.
Well, I suppose that is now a good segue into. Oh my god.
What?
All right, nothing. Never mind.
Okay. It's like, what? Anyway.
All right, good.
I just deleted my entire deck on Dueling Book when I tried to look up something.
No. Okay. Anyways.
I was trying to look up a card to talk about it, and then I just deleted my
Deleted your whole deck? Well, it happens.
Okay.
Anyways. So these Vanquish Soul cards are so sick. So I guess like we've talked about, we've probably made the joke like maybe 20 times now about like they'll never make another Vanquish Soul card ever. Like they give like so many, like all these other deck building packs have gotten like eight waves of support, and they will just never give me another Vanquish Soul card ever. So they finally gave 3 Vanquish Soul cards that are all, well, 2 of them are, one of them is insanely, disgustingly broken. One of them is exactly what the deck needed, and the other one is, I don't know why this exists even in a million years, why they'd make this card, but it is what it exists, I guess. So the first one,
I only thought there were 2 cards. I didn't realize there was 3.
The Xyz Monster.
Oh yeah.
You just like, why does it? I guess I'll start with that one. So there's an Xyz Monster. It is such a bizarre card. It's an Xyz Monster you can put over a Vanquish Soul if a Vanquish Soul has battled this turn, which means you can't make Zeus over it because you have already battled, so you don't get 2 battle phases. And then its effects are like 2 of them are like attack point modification effect. Like it doesn't. It's such a bizarre card. Like I don't really know why it exists or what the intention of it is. But if you make it, like it gets effects if you make it over. It gets effects based on the attribute of the materials. So if you make it with an Earth monster, you can pop a card on the field. So I guess that's the intended use is you summon Panthera, you make it immune to battle destruction, and then you attack something, and then you turn it into the Xyz Monster, I guess. So you have an Earth under it, and then you pop something. But like that's not good, but I guess it exists, so like sure. Like you'll have one on your extra deck because you can make it sometimes, but I don't really understand what like the point of it was. It's very weird. But the good cards. So when I say a card that this deck like desperately needed, is they gave it a field spell with Vanquish Soul in its name, so Mad Love could finally search it. That is a consistency card, which is literally the biggest hole this deck had. The biggest hole this deck had, in my opinion, is that the only actual starter / consistency card in the whole deck was Raisin. Like a Mad Love on its own.
I think also the fact there was a whole bunch of shitty Earth monsters.
Sure. Yeah, yes, and there was no great like Earth monster. Yeah, it was pretty lacking on Earth monsters. It was like Fenrir and that's it. So
Yeah.
now there's finally also the good Vanquish Soul monster they printed is Earth, which also fills up that. It also patches that up. But now Normal Summon Mad Love is a starter and actually gets you to your cards. Like the field spell has 3 effects: target a Vanquish Soul, search a Vanquish Soul with a different attribute. Once per turn of a Vanquish Soul would be destroyed, reveal a Vanquish Soul in your hand instead. Very funny effect. And then third effect, during the end phase, if you control 2 Vanquish Souls, set a Vanquish Soul trap from your deck. Which means Mad Love demands a response, or else it is just like +4. Like Mad Love's, you get the field spell, search or something, which you summon, and then you get the trap card in the end phase, and it, like, just on that alone is just so much card advantage. But then the real one that I think is like, this is where I think pushes this deck over the edge is the monster. Holy Sue, it's a level 5 Earth. It has a quick effect to summon itself from your hand by revealing a Vanquish Soul. And then it has just like all the Vanquish Souls, it has 2 reveal effects, which I don't remember which attributes do which. You reveal Earth and Dark, is mind control. Yeah. And then Fire and Dark is summon a Vanquish Soul monster from your deck. And because this is a quick effect to summon it from your hand, that means if you draw this card with a Fire and a Dark, which is not that unreasonable, because you will probably play 12 Fire monsters and 12 Dark monsters in your deck, or something close, you can summon Raisin from your deck on your opponent during your opponent's main phase. And you can choose which zone Raisin goes to, so you can summon Raisin into the column of your opponent's monster, and then Raisin can destroy that monster, and Raisin can search Caesar, and then, because we know you have a Fire and Dark in your hand, because you already used Holy Sue revealing a Fire and Dark, Caesar can bounce back Holy Sue back to your hand, and then now you have Fire, Dark, and Earth. And you get to pop a monster and another card your opponent controls when you are going second, and begin the duel with Raisin and Caesar on your field. And that will not happen 100% of games, obviously. You have to draw, but it basically is like they got an in-engine hand trap, is essentially what happened, right? Like, they got an in-engine hand trap. And how we've kind of seen this already be played in the OCG is we've seen it be paired with the new Canine cards, which also, if I remember correctly, have similar, like, Havnus type monsters, right? Where they, some of them, like, summon and trigger. So you have multiple engine pieces that function as interaction on your opponent's turn when they go first. And that's I think that's a very powerful combination. Like, when you get a certain saturation of these cards, now it's not just, did they draw the 3 of Holy Sue, like, hand trap engine card? Like, did they draw Havnus? It's like, you have 6 or 9 Havnus in your deck, right? Like, you have 6 or 9 copies of these cards that can summon themselves and interact with your opponent when you are going second. And I think that is extremely, extremely strong. And we saw, I think, Jeff, you sent me a deck list that performed at some tournament. I don't remember exactly what it was, but
it would have been a locals because it just came out, like, very recently.
I mean, they're all locals, but it was like an 8-round tournament, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't anything insane.
But none of the big tournaments have ALIN legal yet. So it was a ALIN shot tournament release event or something.
Yeah. But it looked very cool, and I'm sure it will get refined from there, but just already, that is a concept that I can see, that I can be like, I understand how this did well, and the power level of these cards, of the decks right now, are so strong. Like, as you said, in Japan, they have the Malice deck with Apo and all these other cards. It's like, you have to beat all this stuff, and I guess the way to do it is, if you can't play 20 hand traps in your deck, what if your engine is just hand traps? Like, what if your engine cards interact with your opponent on their first turn? So that is a very strong synergy, I think, by combining these engines together, because the Canine cards are Earths and Darks, right? Or are they all Earth?
They're all different.
They're all different. Oh, sure. Like, the level 5 ones are Earth and Dark. I'm pretty sure.
There's Earth, Dark,
and there's light as well, right? No, wait, no, that's not light. It's actually just Earth and Dark.
Yeah, the light. Well, I guess okay. So the main deck monsters are Earth and Dark. Yes, the
Yeah,
extract monsters are different types, but yeah, or attributes.
Yeah, which surprise, those are the attributes that we needed. Right? Those are the attributes that
I think
Vanquish Soul
the
needed.
take
Earth and Dark.
control effect is a nice touch, solely for the fact that I like destroying a card doesn't actually do anything when you do print cards like Matcha. Like every single deck has 20 extenders, so popping a card only does so much. But I think taking control of a card is unique and actually can just end turns the same way that if you can imperm a body and they'll pass, I think taking control of your opponent's normal summon Dormouse is probably gonna make them end their turn enough of the time as well, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So it's cool that they added something like that, knowing full well that, this does something on its own, but will do something as well into Rise and into Caesar, depending on what you need to do. That's kind of neat. And that's going to be legal for our WCQ as well. That should be
Yes.
that should be
The take
cool.
control
Duelist
is not
Advance
the
will
game.
be, but not the canine cards, yeah. But Duelist
Yeah,
Advance will
yeah,
be,
but
yeah.
like just having like access to Holy Sue is gonna like definitely push it up.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I mean,
It is
yeah, I think
definitely a deck that-
this will be a reasonable contender for the WCQ season for sure. Like out of Duelist Advance, these look like the best cards, I think. I don't think I'm completely off saying that, right?
Nothing
me
else
take
has stood
one.
out.
Yeah.
There's maybe some like
One more look.
not
So
archetypal stuff.
the other thing would be
The link, right?
depending on what, I don't know if there will be a forbidden list like right before the WCQ or something, and do like a combination of like a forbidden list and a new set at the same time. But if there's not, I think that the new guys stuff is like really good for the Rydell. Like,
Oh yeah,
Sure, sure.
my friend again won a locals with the Go 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 Ryzeal deck.
so I think that deck gets much better. Artemegia is like the new lore archetype. Those cards are like pretty cool. But it's weird because again, this is a set that we were getting, and for Japan they got Justice Hunters, then this set. We were getting this set, then Justice Hunters. So cards that might not be able to shine in Japan because they have the Justice Hunter cards, and they might shine here because they don't have like those extra powerful things keeping them down. So
Because in Japan, their metagame right now is like Justice Hunter. Like the only Canine was the worst performing Justice Hunters deck, and now with the Vanquish Soul stuff, that deck has a home. It looks like, right? Like now that type of deck, like Canine got a boost from the Vanquish Soul stuff. So now it just looks like the
right
top
now it's
decks
like
are just the Justice Hunters.
and it's actually it's very funny. It's like Justice Hunters and Crossover Breakers, like
Yeah.
two deck building sets. Like
yeah. Which I did want to talk about which okay, like looking at, yes, this is just a, like these sort of the king graphs are not the end all be all. Obviously, there's only so much data and only so much going on, but I do think it's funny that it's just Yummy, then Dragon Tail, then Malice, then Canine. And it's like, okay, great. And then
it really
it's very
Ryan,
funny.
it depends like where you're looking, because OCG still has that very awkward split between regions of like Japan will play X deck till the end of time. And now I'm looking, and there was a 1,200 person tournament in Taiwan that was just won by K9.
Yeah, I'm looking. I have this pulled up too as well. Yeah, it's Duelist Advance was
K9
not
Crystron.
legal.
Duelist
Yeah,
Advance was not legal for that. All the tournaments right now don't have Duelist Advance legal, basically.
Yeah. No, like just saying, like even beforehand, it's the K9 deck was still that was the sleeper pick, and it performed probably a lot better than anyone could have anticipated, to be honest. Just seeing no Ryzeal on these breakdowns is crazy, though.
I mean, their Ryzeal deck got hit again.
Stuff.
Their Ryzeal deck is destroyed. I'm pretty sure.
Well, so now they're playing it with the new, like Jeff said, the new Gaga, whatever the.
Well, they couldn't play that, so
yeah, that wasn't legal yet. That wasn't
no,
legal.
No, I'm saying like they're not opposed to just mashing another engine in. Like you could still see like Heraldic or something. Obviously, they don't have Mitsurugi, but it's not to say like Ryzeal is still probably playable there. And maybe they're just bored of it. Like, I'm sure if you go through a metagame breakdown, someone's loaded up Ryzel in some capacity.
I was looking through all the Ryzel stuff for all these tournaments the other day for my friend because he wanted me to help him build a pure Ryzel deck, and is the ones that there's only like one on there. It's just too heavily like hit there, like between like one bonfire and one of the
one bonfire, one tachyon, one bonfire, one tachyon, one X, right? Like one,
yeah.
I think so.
One
It's
X,
like
one sword. Yeah,
you have like 5 engine cards. Like
they do have 3 copies of ice though. Objectively, the better one.
Like,
Depends who you talk to.
No, I'd rather have 2 ice, 2 X than 3 ice, probably.
In TCG, I'd probably rather 3 copies of ice, but that's only because we also have we have all of the themes and stuff. But
yeah. But yes, it's I think this Vanquish Soul deck is like, it seems pretty good. Like, I'm optimistic. I think it'll be like it will probably be like a top 5 deck. Like, that's pretty like top 5 is not that hard to be, I feel like. But like, even if it's not, you know, like definitively better than you know, Ryzel or Malice or whatever, like in the pocket that we get that's pre-Justice Hunters, it seems like a pretty reasonable pick. So I'm optimistic. I'm excited for them. I like these cards a lot. So I'm glad that they got support that's like actually good and actually, more importantly, actually addresses the problems the deck had. It isn't just good it isn't just like, oh, these cards are strong. It's like, the thing this deck was missing was a consistency boosting spell card you can search off Mad Love, and that is what they got. Like, it is a card that makes sense in the context of the already existing cards. It's not just like, they did not legendary 6 Samurai it. Like, you're not just playing new cards that happen to have 6 Samurai in their name. Like, you are playing a Vanquish Soul deck, and the support supports them very well. So I think that's what I'm most happy about. Is it's all very like logical.
I'm surprised you didn't go with Infernoble.
Oh god, that one's even, I mean, those are barely even.
Those aren't even noble.
Those aren't even Noble Knights. Yeah, those aren't even. Those are just. That's just a new deck. Like, it's not even. But yeah, so. I guess we reconvene after Providence, or maybe after Battles of Legend. Who knows? I hope we will have. I hope it will not take us. I think I got a little, like, one of the messages, like a little YouTube email that was like, "You've been uploaded in 32 days," and I'm like, oh well.
Yeah,
you know,
it happens.
Literally, it happens. Like, it's fine. Yeah. So thank you all for listening. I hope I don't edit out the last 20 minutes of this. Maybe I will. Who knows? I guess you'll know when you get this far. And we will see you next time.
Bye.